Hey there folks, this is Ryan from ORS Cross Country Skis Direct in Vermont. You might have seen me on another video, but this one is about boots, more specifically our NNN BC boots, with the one exception of the Alpina 1575, and I'm going to explain why we threw this in the mix. But let's start off with what an NNN New Nordic Norm BC boot means. Basically, NNN has two grooves at the sole and a bar at the toe. We call these system boot binding combinations because they kind of, the bindings and the boots kind of click in. So a system is sort of separated from the 3-pin, if you will. So when I say system, that's what I'm talking about. But NNN, New Nordic Norm, means two grooves. BC is different than NNN Touring. NNN BC is a wider profile, so they're not compatible. If you have an NNN Touring boot, the NNN BC boot will not work, and vice versa. Okay, so Rossignol BC X2 is one of our NNN BC boots. Then we have the Alpina 1550, same exact sole essentially, works with the NNN BC binding, but this boot has a little more support in the heel. It's a little bit taller. It has a strap, so this is going to give you a little more downhill control. It's a little bit heavier duty boot than the BC X2. And then we also have the 1550 available in a women's. Nice blue color. It's a narrower heel, higher arch, fits a woman's foot a little bit better. And otherwise, it's the same exact boot as the 1550 men's. So those are the three NNN BC boots that we offer. Then we have the Alpina 1575, which is a 3-pin backcountry touring boot. It's identical to the 1550 as far as basically from the sole up, but the sole is different. Instead of a NNN BC sole, it's a 3-pin sole. But they're really designed kind of for the same type of skiing. The difference is with an NNN BC, and let me show you the two. Sorry, camera guy, you okay? All right. All right, anyway, let me show you the two bindings that we have for NNN BC. We've got the NNN BC Magnum and the NNN BC Auto. The automatic binding means that you put your toe down, you step down, it clicks into place, and you are engaged. The manual, you have to lift this toe piece up, then you step down, and then you throw it and you're locked in. Once you're locked in, you're basically getting the same effect, only with a manual, first of all, the Magnum is a wider plate underneath the boot, and the manual is a stiffer interface. This is kind of a spring-loaded deal, so there might be just a little bit of play as you really torque the boot from one side to another with a spring-loaded NNN automatic style, but the Magnum is locked down. So we typically pair the Magnum up on wider skis, such as the Rossignol BC 90 here, but on the Rossignol BC 70, which is narrower, the NNN BC Auto is perfectly happy. And then you've got your 3-pin setup. And let me get this out of the way here. All right. And we have this mounted on the Madzeus Eon. But the 3-pin, just like your old school cross-country, from back in the day type deal, only with the BC, it's a much beefier 3-pin binding. And they're still around today because you get all this engagement to the boot, all the way to the ball of the foot. Unlike with the NNN BC, whoa, my goodness, hold on. All right, sorry about that. All right, when you get up on your toe, you're really only engaged at the very toe of the boot. Here, however, you've got all of this wrapped around driving the ski. So you would choose the 3-pin setup for more downhill control, but it's not so comfortable when you're kicking and gliding as a nice system type boot and binding combination is. Okay? Now, when you consider the skis you're going to be skiing on, then you got to think about what kind of boot do I need. The other way around, you can think, okay, I really like this NNN BC boot. What kind of ski is it going to be appropriate on? So let's kind of put all these skis in a line, and we'll talk about it. And I've kind of got them separated by their widths and their sort of intended uses. And here they all are lined up. And I kind of have my more sort of narrow backcountry touring skis over here. And then I've kind of got a few in the middle. And then I've got my binding ski that I almost knocked over. There we go. And then I've got my really wide skis. And then here are our boots again. Okay, starting with the BCX2. Pretty light duty backcountry touring NNN BC boot. Works great on the BC 70. You could certainly put it on the Eon by Madzeus and the light terrain by Alpina. But as you move along toward the wider skis, you know, the boot just doesn't have that power to really control the ski in the downhill. So you're thinking more, for this boot, you're thinking backcountry touring, kicking and gliding on mostly packed surfaces, rolling terrain, that sort of thing. The 1550, and I'll grab the women's here because it's a really great color, I love it. With that cuff and the strap, you're getting more lateral control. So great on this ski, not bad on the Eon, could work on the light terrain. You could also use it on the BC 90 from Rossignol. And again, we put the Magnum on there, and that Magnum is a little more powerful binding, so you're going to get a little more control. And you could even, you know, put it on the cross terrain by Alpina, possibly on the Epic from Madzeus if sort of you want the ski for the fact that it's wider and you like that stability and the flotation in deep snow. However, don't even consider an NNN BC on the Madzeus Annam or the Rossignol BC 125. These are big, wide skis. They have to have a 3-pin setup. And when I say 3-pin, I mean like a beefy 3-pin, which the 1575, it is a beefy boot, but it's still not quite enough for these skis. But boy, does it work great on the Epic, the cross terrain, the BC 90, all the way down the line, really. You could even put it on the BC 70 if you want the most control for turning, for, you know, slowing down when you're going downhill. You're just going to have a little bit of a heavier duty boot than you will with the 1550, which is lighter. And as you saw earlier in the video, when you're kicking and gliding, you get a little more freedom up and down when you're kicking and gliding than you will in the 3-pin setup. Now, I haven't hit anyone or knocked anything over in a while, so I think I've covered everything. With our boots, once again, there they are, kind of lined up. BCX2 by Rossignol, the 1550 women's and men's from Alpina, and then the 1575 from Alpina, sort of from lighter duty to heavier duty. Hope that helps. Thanks for watching. I'm Ryan from ORS Cross Country Skis Direct.